Good morning, welcome back to the 8th concession, our property here in Southern Ontario. My name is Natalie. Well, it's October and the season is over and I have a cleanup to do. I want to get that garden emptied so I can plant my garlic, which I need to put in the ground now for next year, and just put that whole thing to bed. So that is my chore for today. It's blue sky and kind of sunny right now, but it is only about 5 degrees Celsius, so it's a little chilly. That's the way our weather is. It's not going to get much warmer, so that garlic has to get in the ground. I want it in the ground before the ground freezes, but I didn't want to plant it earlier than this because you can plant garlic too early in the fall. You don't want it to actually start putting green up above the soil level. You just want it to set its roots and get established so that in the spring it can shoot right up. This is the perfect time. Ground's not frozen, but it is getting pretty chilly overnight and it won't be long. So I'm going to clean out the garden. First, I'm going to pull out the tomato plants. I do not normally compost them because we do struggle with blight and or leaf spot here on the 8th concession. So I typically throw them somewhere else. Now, I mean, I probably could compost them because at this point there is already blight in the soil down there and probably blight spores, floating around the property. But nonetheless, I don't need to make the situation worse by putting the plants actually in the soil. So I will put them elsewhere. I'll dump them just in the back somewhere. And then the other plants that I pull out, I will be putting in our compost and just cleaning up the soil, getting that garlic in. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with here. You can see the plants are all dead from the frost that we've had. But some things are still green. Here we have some parsley, which looks great, so I might pick some of that and dehydrate it. You can see that my birdhouse gourd has fallen on the ground. It was hanging up here. It's now on the ground, so I'm going to put that somewhere where hopefully it'll still dry. I can see there's a loofah hanging on. Again, I am going to pick that and put it maybe in the red room, which is an unheated back porch sort of situation. See if it'll dry there without rotting. Over here we have the celery root, which is also unaffected by frost. I am going to pull them today and see what we get in terms of a harvest. Over here, mostly dead flowers. And the other plant that is still doing okay is the turnips. Again, I did not thin them the way I should have. I think some of them are a bit misshapen, but I'm going to pull them and I'm still going to chop and freeze them. So the two crops, the celery root and the turnip, have to come out. Maybe a bit of parsley, and the rest is like Halloween-scape here of dead plants is just coming out. Wow, that is a great harvest of celery root. It doesn't look the prettiest, but oh, if you could smell it. I will use about 1/4 of this. I'll peel it, and I only use about 1/4 of it per pot of soup, so this is going to actually last me quite a while. I am very pleased with this. And first, I'm going to take all the celery root greens over to the chickens. It smells delicious. And it's nice and fresh, so that'll be their treat for today. That's not a bad harvest. Truly, all the long skinny ones were my fault. I did not properly thin these turnips. So the fact that I got any at all is wonderful, and they will be chopped and frozen for soup. So that's great. And look what I spotted over here. A wayward cucumber. The chickens will enjoy that. And now to start pulling out all these dead plants. This last tomato bed is going to be a little trickier. This is where I had the subarctic plenty and the prawn spraylets, but all that green there, that's stinging nettles, and I have to remove them first because they are so painful if you touch them. If you're fortunate enough not to have stinging nettles where you are, that's lucky for you. But do you see all along the stem the tiny little hairs? I gotta be careful, but can you see them all along the stem? If one of those, just one of them, pricks you, it is quite painful, a burning hot sensation. I usually take them by the roots, but yeah, you don't want to mess with these. Sorry, I had to stop filming because the rain came. And while I didn't mind working in the rain, and that's why I look a little bit bedraggled, I didn't want my camera in the rain. So it has to stay here up under the gazebo but I did manage to get finished. And while the rain has let up, just really briefly to a drizzle, I'm gonna run down there with the camera and show you the after. So here it is, my almost empty garden. I say almost because you can see I still have my perennials back there that I planted. And back in bed number 5, you can see I've planted my hemrod grape in its pot still, but in the bed. And that's just to protect the roots in the pot from the freezing temperatures of the winter. Having that soil around it just helps with the temperature. And down there I will also be planting again my cedar trees, which I didn't put in the ground this year. They're still in pots, so I will plant the pots in that bed as well, just for the winter to protect their roots. The one thing I did not get done is I did not get my garlic planted. It's raining now. I'll try and do it tomorrow, but I want them to go in this bed. And you can see that the soil has really gone down this year. I have some more compost that we got free at the dump. There it is over there under a tarp on the lawn. But in this rain, I do not feel like moving mud. So I'm afraid it will have to wait for tomorrow. So another gardening season done. Well, it was equal parts sad and satisfying to get the garden cleaned out. Sad because it's over for another year and I wait so long for the gardening season, but now it's time to dream and plan about next year, where I have more room with my 3 final beds in, with the asparagus in, with the strawberries. I'm very excited about that. And it's very satisfying to get it all cleaned up, because then I feel like, well, the bad weather can come whenever it wants, because I'm basically ready. I will do the garlic and the cedar trees tomorrow, and then that will all be done. There are a few other chores around outside I have to do. Some of my planters with my flowers, they all need to be, disposed of because they're dead or dying. And then we just have to look forward to the next season. But I got a great harvest. I've preserved so much. I've frozen so much. I am really grateful for how much fun and satisfaction I get from my garden. I hope you do too. Bye for now.